Lewis Finch. Okay, going to be greedy and ask 2 questions. That is okay. People are asking multiple questions, and that is fine. All right. Number 1, if you had to pick 4 Doctor Who characters, who would you pick to be in your Dumbledore's army? Ooh, I'm thinking of the Patronuses right now. Mickey. Even like pre-series 2 Mickey, just because thinking back in series 1 of how helpful he was, and he was kind of the underdog. He's a bit Neville-y in a way, and he really came into his own, kind of like Neville. I still love Mickey. I haven't seen him in forever, and yet I still love Mickey. All right, so Mickey, I have to say the Doctor, because the Doctor kind of is Dumbledore, really. But, you know, if he's in the army, that's fine. I will pick the Doctor. I have to pick Jack. Not because, like, oh, Jack, but I mean, he's clearly the man with the plan. He's a man of action. All kinds of action. But yeah, he would actually be very useful in Dumbledore's army. This could change, but I'm going to go on a gut instinct and say Gwyneth. With the rift. With the vision. Like if she were still around. If I could get her back somehow. I don't know. She might be very helpful. She was very courageous. That could change. But that's what I'll go with for now. Oh, which threat or creature are you hoping to make an appearance during the upcoming seasons? Who would I was always fearing that the Satan, the beast, would pop up because he's just so pernicious and just... I know they contained him sort of kind of, but I mean, he was very influential. So I keep expecting the beast pop up. I do love the Slitheen as a villain, but I feel like I've seen them enough. I don't know if they'll come back. I have no idea. You know what would be fun to see again would be Henry von Staten. Just to see if they really left him out in the middle of nowhere and he babbled and became crazy or something. I kind of would like a follow-up on him. I think he'd be fun. Thank you. David Roberts says, I'm going to take an educated guess that you've read Salmon of Doubt. How do you feel about a creator's work being gone through posthumously to release unfinished and unpolished work? I do have opinions on that. I didn't even like when they hired Alexander Ripley to continue Margaret Mitchell's work when they made the sequel to Gone with the Wind. And as a writer yourself, hey, it bothers me, and in the back of my thoughts, yeah, well, you know, you should. He says, I'm always thinking of how I should deal with any unfinished works if you should pass away unexpectedly. I mean, that's something to think about. Yeah, it's not exactly channel related, but it is, because you know that I've read Douglas Adams. He does tie in nicely. I read all 4 books of the trilogy. So long, and thanks for all the fish. You know, I didn't read Salmon of Doubt probably for that reason of... I think I just wasn't sure that I would want to do that. Now, having said that, I don't know if he planned for someone to finish it or not, because that is, as you say, that is the big thing. There's something about somebody's estate, you know, whether it's an artist, a musician, a writer, you know, somebody's estate sort of inheriting unfinished works. Like, I mean, even Prince's unreleased stuff, it's tracks and all that. Like, it's fascinating from sort of an academic standpoint, but there are reasons they didn't release that stuff and things that are unfinished. So I think it all starts with the estate and what their purpose is in releasing it or not releasing it. I mean, because we would not know Mozart's Requiem had it not been completed by, I believe, a former student, colleague. We would not have that glorious work. So there's that. So I do think it depends on whether the author or artist of any kind intended upon that, like if left notes. But I don't know. It's a really good question. I'm not down with an estate trying to milk the product. Like just releasing it to release it and just get money. No. But if something incredible was cut short and there was some sort of guideline or indication of where it was going, then I think it's maybe worth releasing. So make your plans. I hope nothing ever happens, ever. But you never know. And you could leave a link so we can read what you're writing. All right. Furious Magpie writes, have you considered doing the 5-part series Chernobyl? It's been nominated for 19 Emmys and quite excellent. I also highly recommend... Oh, yes. This has been recommended to me many times. The Expanse. Season 4 is dropping later this year. So how gutted were you about season 8 Game of Thrones? Oh. First of all, Chernobyl, yes, I was interested in it. I had some friends who know my sensibilities who kind of warned me off of it. I have a huge problem with, I know it's fictional, the recreation of it, but animals in distress and pain and suffering, I have a huge amount of trouble even just watching that recreated, even in a fake situation. Like, it really gets to me. My friends who know that about me, they warned me about some things in Chernobyl. So, I'm sorry if that's a huge spoiler for anyone who wants to watch Chernobyl, but so I don't know. I don't know. It's a question mark. The Expanse has been recommended to me, and it is on sort of the future potential shows list once I get there. Oh, Game of Thrones. I feel like the last 2 seasons, season 7 and season 8, just were not given enough time, book or no, to wrap up everything that was introduced. The whole thing was rushed. It just wasn't developed enough. They needed more time to include the nuances and just not just directly skip over to stuff. I just think it was not handled very well on that front. And I think certain notes were okay and certain characters were okay, and then some were not. Actually, the Game of Thrones videos are still up if people want to hear the thoughts. But sort of with a little more distance to it, I can just say I think they wrapped it up like they would just any kind of TV show style. Lots of big crashes, big booms, some high emotional points, some low emotional points. I don't know. That's a really big question. We could have a really long conversation about that. Oh, God. But yeah, I mean, it was disappointing. There should have been more episodes. There should have been more... Yeah. I can't even. And we're moving on. But yeah, thank you for asking about those. And, sometime whenever I'm ready to add more shows to the roster, it probably won't be for a while because I have so many episodes of Doctor Who to go through. I'm going through Black Sails. I'm trying to get both Stranger Things and Jessica Jones edited and out there. I am keeping a tally of things that people have suggested. And I think on Patreon, I may introduce something to the very first lowest tier. I was thinking of doing sort of trying out a show, just reacting to the pilot. So maybe Chernobyl could be on there. I don't know. We'll see. Thank you. Okay, Dan Brown, hi, asks, how is your back now? You look like you were being stoic for a while, so I hope it is well on the mend. Thank you. Yes, definitely getting back to it. No pun intended. I have a lumbar pillow that I always have to use on this chair. It's a lot better. I've done a lot of physical therapy. For the anyone who's watching this video, I think knows that I had a spine issue earlier this year, like at the beginning of the year, that took me out for a while. So I've been doing a lot of physical therapy, and it's been really, it's been tough. Some of the spine problem is sort of run-of-the-mill, like spine stuff that's just happening earlier, would normally happen to people who are older than I am, and I'm older, but like even older than I am. But some of it is not, and I'm still seeing doctors for it. I think it's going to be what it's going to be for the rest of my life, and I just have to find ways to deal with it. So stoicism continues. But I do appreciate your asking, because ouch. Oh, I do. Yes. Do you plan on having a Patreon or similar account where full reactions and advanced episodes can be watched? I do have one. I do have a Patreon account. I guess I mention it at the very end of the episode, and then the credits have a special thank you. And by the way, shout out to the patrons. I guess I don't really promote it that much. I should try and remember to mention it at the beginning of the video as well. I definitely don't want to pressure anyone into coming and joining the Patreon. I always do put a link in the description. I guess I'm really bad at promoting it. I'm sorry. But I do have one. And congratulations on 1 year. Thank you. Hi, who knew? Crazy. Dragonfly Noir 10 says, let me say I've enjoyed your reaction. Thank you. Particularly Stranger Things, Doctor Who and Stranger Things. Oh, love Stranger Things. My question is, how did you decide which shows to react to, and what shows are you looking forward to doing in the future? Doctor Who was definitely the deciding factor in just starting the channel. And I didn't know whether it was going to be a Doctor Who only channel. When I started recording reactions for Doctor Who, I had just seen the first episode of Luke Cage, season 2, and I really loved it. And I was like, why limit myself? So in the beginning, when I was first learning how to do this, I thought this would be great. I know I love the show. Why not also react to Luke Cage? So I recorded those simultaneously, and the Luke Cage reactions went up right away. Doctor Who was delayed because I just wanted to get through the first series. And I was kind of like, oh, Daredevil's coming out. So I've just done Luke Cage, so I'm going to do that. And so I had this idea that it would be Doctor Who and then at least one other show. And then by the time the channel really started to get going, I thought, well, let's see what other people think. What other people want to see me react to? And I got a lot of suggestions and a lot of things I was interested in. Black Sails was decided by poll. And I am in the second season of that, and it's fantastic. If you have not seen it, do yourselves a favor. It's really good. I'm really glad that I started that show, and that was selected for me. And other things I just decided to do, like I always knew I was going to do Stranger Things just because I loved the previous season. So it's a combination of, hearing from you guys of what you might want to see, and then just what I might want to react to. What shows am I looking forward to doing in the future? I do look forward to starting with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the near future. That was trading off with Black Sails as to what viewer-elected show was going to be next. Of course, Torchwood I'm looking forward to doing, so there's a lot coming up. I just hope I have time for it all. So thank you for that question. Those questions. Charley Ryan. Oh, kitten. She says, happy channel anniversary. Thank you. Personal question. Do you have any pets? Yes, I do. I have a cranky cat myself, but he's good for watching TV with. Yes, cranky cats are very good for watching TV with. I am an animal pet person. I have one cat right now. When I started the channel, I had 2 cats, and I don't bring this up to bum anybody out, but it's just that they've both appeared on the channel at one point or another. My one cat that I have now is she's like the world's most nervous cat ever. She hides most of the time. So at night though, she does come out, and if I can get her to spend like a good 20 minutes on my lap, I feel like a giant victory has been won. She's just so skittish. She's a bit elusive. But she has her moments where she's just very cuddly and loving, so she's weird. I miss my other cat, my Guy. He was just a big old love bug and a punk. He's actually, I got him from a former roommate whom the shelter she got him from named him Captain Jack after Captain Jack Sparrow. So he's a pirate cat. And he was a big old punk. He definitely had the Captain Jack Sparrow personality to him, and he insisted on being on camera.
And again.
So that's why I bring that up. Oddly enough, I am more of a dog person, honestly, but I also love cats, and so I've just ended up with cats. I don't know how. I don't know how that happened. But yeah, cranky kitties, they're all good. I'm that kind of person that if I were allowed to have 20 pets, I would do it. But thank you, and give your kitty a little pet for me. Tiori7, I hope I said that right. Happy anniversary, thank you. I don't have a question, just want to thank you for your very enjoyable Doctor Who reactions. Thank you so much. Your catching laugh. And just for you as thank you. I wish you all the best. Greetings from Germany. Okay, here's my shame. I took 4 years of high school German. I can barely remember any of it because there's like no one to speak it with. It's so sad. So I wish I remembered a lovely German phrase to say back at you. But, which is sad because I'm a part German. Thank you for the compliment about the laugh. The funny thing is the laugh messes up my audio all the time. It like sends the audio like totally out of whack. So I'm glad people enjoy the laugh. It only messes everything up in editing though. But thank you so much for watching, and vielen Dank. CP, that's so cute. Happy Channelversary, thank you. Fourth Ball Reactions is an appropriately excellent and witty channel name. Thank you. But were there others under consideration that you'd like to share with us? There were. I'll come back to it. I adore Doctor Who, as do I. And your reactions are, as Chris would say, fantastic. Thanks. I was also curious to know if there are any other older shows that you'd consider reacting to. You're a big fan of Lost and Twin Peaks. Yes, you are right. I have watched some of those. Loving your work. Thank you so much for being here. I have seen a lot of Lost. I haven't seen all of Lost, but I think I've seen enough to where the reactions would be considered rewatches to a point. I did skip big chunks of it, so I don't know. I think the reactions would not be as authentic or surprising. So, Twin Peaks, I am one of the few people that it never really clicked with me for whatever reason. I don't know why. You would think it is kind of in my scope. But they're definitely both very reaction-worthy shows, for sure. So, as I stated earlier, I was doing all sorts of word games to try and come up with a channel name, and some names were plays on the word reaction, kind of like reaction sphere, reactionary, reactionsville, the reactionary, like a bestiary. Those were never serious contenders, but I remember I did a lot of sort of word association and wordplay, trying to come up with stuff. I think the only other one, there were probably maybe 2 or 3 that were serious considerations. The only one that I can think of right now was the Peanut Gallery. I wanted something that was specific to reactions, and the Peanut Gallery was just kind of a little too general. I like the idea of saying, welcome to the Peanut Gallery. But, if, I thought the name would be like, well, what is that exactly? What is this channel about? And it's a more well-known phrase, so I think more people, when I did a search on YouTube, variations of that came up. So I didn't really see a whole lot of fourth wall. I do wish for anyone creating a channel and trying to name their channel, definitely say it out loud a number of times, because you'll be saying it a lot. And in the beginning, did I say this earlier? I may be repeating myself. I stumbled a lot over fourth wall reactions. Like, occasionally I was Elmer Fudd. I don't know. But definitely just practice the name. Practice saying it. It's my advice to you. But I'm glad people like it. I'm trying to imagine reacting to, well, I've already seen Deadpool, so I wouldn't react to Deadpool, but if I were reacting to it, watching Deadpool break the fourth wall, and then I break the fourth wall talking about Deadpool breaking the fourth wall. It's very meta. But yeah, so that was my process picking. Thank you. Chris Travers. Oh, the question. Like many others, I've been wondering on how you decided fourth wall reactions. That is how I decided it. When I started that process, I was kind of bemoaning the fact that I don't really have some sort of like nickname that I could sort of like name the channel after myself or anything like that. So I was like, oh man, I have to think of something. And I'm a person that once I get an idea, I just do it. And so once I sort of committed to this idea of doing a reaction channel, I was like, let's start filming. And I didn't stop. I was like, I need to come up with a name. What the hell? I can't believe I started recording reactions without actually having a name. I'm like, duh. So of course I had to think of one really fast in order to upload the reactions. So definitely think of a name before you start recording if you're thinking of starting a channel. But yeah, so that is part of how I came up with that channel name. Thank you. Next up is Novaximus, whose name I always love. A lot of you have like really cool internet nicknames and avatars and stuff, and you're all just super cool. You're a lot cooler than me. So Novaximus says, happy anniversary. Thank you. I said thank you. Aw, believe it or not, I look forward to your Doctor Who reactions like I do any normal show that's on TV. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you for the content. You are welcome. I'm glad that people, sometimes it's hard to take credit sometimes for the reactions because they're just genuine reactions to the show. It's like the show really gets credit for it. But when I'm in the editing process, the stuff I throw in is either stuff that popped into my head while I was reacting, or just when I'm editing, just to give you a little something or other. I hope to create a little entertainment for you. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm going to try and ask questions. Okay, that you haven't seen others in this thread ask. All right, here we go. There are 7 questions. I will not read them all through. I'll take them one at a time. Oh my. This is better. So yeah, someone earlier had asked, just asked me to just say stuff about myself to just know me a little bit better. And I'm really bad at answering open-ended questions. So I'm glad you've listed some to give me ideas of what people might want to know. So Novaximus asks, could you give us a brief biography of yourself? Where I grew up? Do I live alone or have a family? What kind of work do I do? Do I have brothers or sisters or children or friends? I have no friends. No, I have friends that I spend most of my time with. I think we mostly want to know more about you. Mystery. It's funny. I tend to not talk about myself in these videos, in the reactions, just because I tend to not talk about myself that much in real life either, unless there's something really specific. And then I'm happy to tell whatever stories. Like in the episode of Doctor Who, in the Lazarus experiment, when they ran in and he was on the organ and stuff, my mom is a professional organist. She's a musician and a director and all of that. And so every now and again, if something's relevant, I'll tell a story. But you're right, I don't normally just volunteer this stuff. So I think I said earlier, I grew up from the Midwest, but I grew up in different areas of the country. I've been in Southern California the longest, so in many ways I feel like a native, but I'm not. There are things about Southern California that I really love, and things about California in general that I really love and adore, and certain things that I don't. I guess that's true of wherever you live. You love some things not so much. I was going to sit here and list all the things I did and didn't like about LA, but we have a lot of questions to get to. So yeah, I grew up in different areas of the country, so I feel like I belong to the Midwest and the South and the Northeast. I'm a very American child here. I haven't traveled, I think I said that, so ditto the stuff I said earlier about wanting to travel more internationally because I've been so many places in the United States. I have an older brother. We love each other dearly, I think. We're very different people. Sometimes it's a challenge to understand each other, where the other one is coming from. We're extremely different, but I think, above all, we're family, so that overrides any of that kind of stuff. I do have some lovely friends that I really enjoy spending time with. It seems like we're all so busy, and they're all really opinionated and wonderful and funny, and yeah, they're great people. As for work, I've spent most of my career either working in music or working in education. Not music education, which oddly enough, I don't know. I was a music major in school. I trained as a singer, so when you hear me sing in videos, it's kind of how I live my life. I just randomly sing whenever I can. And education, I've worked in universities and colleges, and mostly administration. I am a theater nerd. I did start out working in theater. I worked in theater a long time ago. And I love the work, but the business is a little crazy. I don't think I've done a production, an actual bona fide production, in like 14 years. So that's why I laugh at all the theater references and and everything like that. Once a theater nerd, always a theater nerd. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about me. Yeah. Okay, I'm going on to the next question. Okay, so 2, honestly, because I enjoy your reactions so much, I was wondering if you could make your videos longer and include more reaction footage per episode. Oh, no, I'm not trying to push that. I get if you're trying to push full episode reactions on a Patreon page, but still, you just want more because you're greedy. What? So it really is an interesting thing on how people edit, and I know some reactors hire someone to edit their videos for them. I edit my own videos, and everybody has a different process. And I've gotten this question, I think, a couple times before of wanting, like, do everything as a 2-parter. You can do audio, you can do this, you can do that. So here's how I edit. Generally, regardless of whether it's a standard kind of broadcast episode, like a 40 to 45 minute one, or Black Sails tends to be closer to an hour, sometimes more than an hour. Game of Thrones was like super extended this time around. Regardless of how long the episode is, generally I do a first pass of editing and just chop it up. I have to be ruthless. Usually that first pass ends up being anywhere from average 12 to 15 minutes of reaction. Every now and again, I'll get a 10-minute one or a 9-minute one. I've put up 9-minute ones before. And then every now and again, there'll be like a 20. I think the first video, the first reaction that David Tennant was in, the Christmas special, I was like, I think the first cut was like 20 minutes. I'm like, there's I can't cut out anymore. There's no way. So at that point, I know it's going to be a two-parter. I think when it gets down to like 12 or 13 minutes of footage that I think would make for a good reaction video, I generally can tweak it and get it to that 10-minute. And I cut out some, here's the thing though, I cut out some video in order to make that 10 minutes, but the audio is also copyright. The music is copyright, the writing is copyright, everything about the episode is copyright. So I think someone in another video had said you can use 10 minutes of visual and 10 of audio. That's, when I started doing this, I researched the fair use and I took a look at what people are doing. I have yet to find the language that says you're allowed to do 10 minutes. I have not found that in any legalese. And if someone knows where that is, please leave a link, because I'm like, I want to know the parameters. 10 minutes on YouTube seems to be the standard, so I'm just kind of doing what everybody else does. And it seems to be what's allowable. However, I've not seen that technically written down in any resource. So, but certainly all parts of an episode are copyright. I don't ever set out to do a 1-part or a 2-part or whatever. It's just sort of just whatever I feel like the best bits are. If there's an episode that I particularly loved, it might be a 2-parter, it might not. I mean, it all just kind of depends on what the episode was and what my reaction was to it. The majority of my Doctor Who videos are claimed by the BBC. Like, the second they go up, the BBC says, "Oh, that's ours." And as the copyright holder, that is their absolute right to do it. That is their property. I'm just grateful when they let me keep the videos up. I've had a handful of them be blocked, and I've disputed them all. And when they go through the dispute process, I always lose. And yet they release it, but they still keep the copyright claim. But I'm fine with that. I know that upsets a lot of reactors, but that is their property. That is the BBC's property. They have a right to it. Even if I'm following fair use, whatever, it's still their intellectual property and they can claim it if they want to. That's fine. I just want them to allow me to use the material. That's all. Just to leave it up for you guys. That's my one goal. I understand you're wanting more. I think it would be great to be able to have the full reaction on YouTube. I just feel like if I leave more in, I'm more susceptible to them policing me. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I want to find out. And I don't know who are these people who can sort of think, I'm going to do 10 minutes and then a 10-minute and this is a 2-parter, or people who put up 3-part and 4-part. I'm like, how do you get away with that? I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I'm afraid it's just, that's how they're done. All right. I talk a lot. As of right now, how committed are you to keeping up your reactions to, yes, completely committed to the whole series. At least all of New Who and Select Classic. I'm very committed to keeping on with it at this point. I can't imagine, for as much as I'm enjoying it, I can't imagine reaching a point right now where I don't enjoy it that much and stop. I don't know. I think anything that would stop me from doing the channel is just like real life stuff that takes over. And sometimes it does take over. So, but if anything stops these reactions from happening, it won't be the shows. It won't be the material. It'll be external forces or evil copyright police. I don't know. But it won't be me not liking the show. I don't think. Would you ever consider bringing a friend or someone to react with you on some episodes? Perhaps a Who noob who you'd like to introduce the show to. Maybe even someone who has already seen episodes that you haven't, you can react together. Yes, that has been discussed, although not for Doctor Who. When I was taking on the last season of Game of Thrones, I had a friend, we were discussing trying to get together to record together. It might have happened, but I knew that with Game of Thrones, if you don't watch that thing right away, you'll get spoiled. And so we just couldn't make the timing of it work. But that was a joint reaction was discussed. I don't know. So I haven't discussed it with anyone for Doctor Who, but that is a possibility. That could happen. I could see that happening in the future. At what point in your life did you start to enjoy sci-fi and fantasy? Is there anything else of interest or hobbies that you're into? I have always loved sci-fi and fantasy for as long as I can remember. I think I spoke earlier about Chronicles of Narnia. I think I remember those being read to me when I was like 6, 7. And I went on from those to reading The Hobbit when I was 9. And then it was, Lord of the Rings, and then it was Terry Brooks, and then it was Anne McCaffrey, and then it was blah, 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 blah. So I've always been into sci-fi fantasy. Book-wise, it's primarily been fantasy over science fiction. And science fiction-wise, it's primarily been shows and movies over fantasy. Mostly because there haven't been a whole lot of fantasy shows and movies that have been done as well. But yeah, have always loved it. Always will. Is there anything other? I used to have other hobbies and interests. YouTube is extremely time consuming, so I feel like for the most part, what free time I have is devoted to doing this. So every now and then I'll get ahead of myself with YouTube and I have a little break and I'll go back to doing, other stuff. Sort of solitary stuff. I enjoy reading. Big bookworm. I am sort of craftsy. I'm not great at it, but I like working with my hands and I like drawing and painting, and I do knit, although very basic stuff. Very basic stuff. I'm a really good baker. I'm not a great cook. I'm an okay cook, but I'm a really good baker. And then just socially, with my friends and stuff, I do try to take advantage of living in Southern California and a lot of entertainment things that are available at my disposal. Some of the things I love that you can get here are just, you can go to a showing of an old movie and have the director and all the actors show up and just talk about it and stuff like that. There are revival houses. I remember going with a friend to a movie theater that was showing, they were showing Raising Arizona and The Big Lebowski, and the place was packed. And this is years after those movies had come out. And you just knew everyone in that theater had seen these movies 20 times. Because as the scenes went on and the jokes, you knew what scene was coming next. And people would start to giggle. You'd hear this wave of laughter, and then the scene that you're going to laugh at. I mean, yeah. And a lot of, what I do for work is kind of what I like to do in my own free time anyway. So there's a lot of overlap there. What other YouTube channels do you enjoy watching? Or do you watch other Who? Oh, okay. Other Who reactors, YouTube channels. I have not yet started watching other people's Doctor Who reactions. I mean, I feel like I'm really far enough into the series I could probably do it, but I kind of want to wait until I'm closer to catching up with New Who before I start watching people who start from the beginning. Just to, really feel like I am looking back on it. I might wait until I'm totally caught up. So there's that. I enjoy lots of other YouTube channels. I probably spend way too much time watching YouTube reaction channels. All right, I'm sorry. I had to turn on the light because I'm losing the natural light. Lighting is the bane of my existence. Okay, so we were talking about other YouTube channels I enjoy watching. I do. I enjoy... It took me a while to get into some of the group reaction channels. I tend to not like people talking over stuff. And with the group reaction, it's just a natural thing when people are chatting and stuff. But I've since, gotten used to that. So I like certain channels for certain shows. Right now, Blind Wave, a couple of them are watching Chuck, which I adored. I adored Chuck. I don't know of any other channel. I know of one other channel that's watching Chuck. Some channels I watch for current shows that are on. Some I watch for people who are catching up with things. It tends to be The Walking Dead or Game of Thrones, and now Buffy. Like, so many new people are discovering Buffy. I'm so thrilled about that. It is... I just... Yay! Westworld is always really fun to watch people watch because of all the reveals, particularly season 1. Oh, I guess that's not specific to any channel. I love watching Married to the Reel's reactions to The Flash because they're so into it. I generally love Jimmy Macram. I actually just finished being a patron for He Watched Battlestar Galactica. I had to see that. Who else do I just love? There are a lot of people. There are so many channels that I just adore. I'm really enjoying Liam Duke watch Buffy and Angel, but I actually also watch reactions for The 100 as well. It's an intense show. And some other people who are also starting Buffy or continuing, they're early on in the series. There are a lot. I probably watched too many. I really enjoyed Hogwarts Reacts to Game of Thrones. I always gave props to their editing. I was impressed by that. Yeah, just a lot of people. I probably subscribed to about 30. Probably subscribe to about 20 or 30, and then there's probably a handful that I seek out, and I'll always give new channels a shot. I mean, being a smaller channel myself and just, totally would not exist without you guys watching. So, if you have a channel that you want me to check out, I'll check it out. What is my daily routine like? How long does it take you to watch, edit, and upload a Doctor Who episode? Oh my God. As far as the process to watch and edit and upload, specifically for Doctor Who, the episodes tend to be like 45 minutes-ish. Sometimes with the Christmas specials, it's an hour. Give it, an hour to watch, add another 15, 20 minutes to record commentary, maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours to edit, to chop. And depending on how much I add or have to do, there's putting in the bloopers, which normally happen just naturally because it's me. And I edit myself just because I don't like having huge moments of just dead silence or me just going, trying to think of stuff. So if you'll notice in my commentary, I try to tighten it up. Also, if left to my own devices, I'll just babble endlessly about just tangents and circular stuff. So I try to edit myself for coherence, which I imagine I'll be doing with this. So, any one of a Doctor Who, just straight up regular Who episode, no two-parter, not too many extra things, maybe a just basic blooper reel. Probably 4 to 5 hours in total from start to finish. Trying to get out 3 videos, Doctor Who or no, a week is a part-time job in and of itself. It's very time-consuming. And sometimes it'll take longer, depending. Sometimes if there are technical glitches, it takes longer. The way I have to record Black Sails and I had to record Game of Thrones, I'm working on an older computer that I can't update anymore unless I update everything, which I don't want to do. So some things won't play on it. I record the source as I react to it. So I have to bring out a laptop that will play Black Sails, Game of Thrones, whatever, won't play on this computer. And so sometimes there are weird audio issues. Sometimes there are weird audio issues with Doctor Who just from me laughing so loud. It screws all the audio up. So sometimes there are technical things that take more time. Some episodes take forever to edit. And some are just like, oh, here we go. And it just happens. And I never know what those are going to be. So it can vary, but I would say on the average about 4 to 5 hours. Oh no, once you hit 50K subs, will I sell some merch? I I'm not laughing at that. I cannot picture hitting 50. I can't picture it. I don't know. I kind of, with what I'm doing, I can't imagine getting to 50, but you never know. You never know. But selling merch, I would consider without having hit 50K. If people want merch, it's basically what you guys want. If you want merch, I'll give you merch. I don't know if there's some sort of financial threshold that, like I would have to have people actually buy the merch in order to spend the money to create the merch, I guess. I'm not sure. That's a really interesting question. I don't know what kind of merch I would offer. If you have any ideas of what you might want, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll think about that. I'll look into it, see what I could do. Anyone else who's listening, if you're interested in merch, give me some ideas of what you might want. You want a t-shirt, mugs, button? I put my suspicious face stamp on a mug. I don't know. All right, that was your last question. Thank you for these questions. They're all very good questions. Okay, Matthew Edwards asks, I would love to see you react to a British TV show called Waterloo Road. Would you consider trying to react to it? I will check out what it is, and I can add it to the poll list. I have I do keep a running tally of things that people mention. If I haven't seen it before, I'll see if I'm willing to check it out. And again, I think I mentioned earlier that I was thinking of doing a thing where I react to the first episode of series that people mention, just to see if I'm interested in doing it. So I can add that to the list. Thank you. What else? Thomas Meehan. Oh, I've already seen Glee. He says, I have a show that I love for you to react to, which is Glee. And I have seen Glee. I particularly love the first season. And I really loved Kurt, and I really hated Sue Sylvester. She's such a freak. But yeah, that was a fun show, and a really fun show to watch, to sing along to and stuff. So yeah, I wish I could react to it for you, but I have already seen it, so I'm sorry about that. Always feel free to suggest things for me to react to. I may not be able to incorporate all of it. However, I really do want to start looking into this issue of, oh my God, it's like I lit on fire for a second. I'm sorry. of reacting to pilots to see if I would be interested in adding shows to reaction list. So I have talked for a long time. I did take a break in the middle of the day because I had to go do something, but it's been several hours and I have a lot of fun editing to do. I just wanted to thank everyone who asked questions. Thank you for leaving your answers. Thank you for subscribing and as always commenting on episode reactions, whether you're here for Doctor Who or the Marvel shows, or Black Sails. This process is very time consuming, and I know that I could just go binge everything, and part of why I don't is I like to share the experience of it, and I like to hear from you, so yay. All right, thanks so much for listening to me talk. I do tend to babble. If you would like to check out the Patreon, feel free. I will leave the link in the description. If that is not your thing, do not worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. Thank you for being here, for supporting the channel, and here's to another year. Happy Channelversary. All right, guys, I'll see you for the next reaction. Bye.